I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Solving life's mysteries one at a time.
Dudes out there romping around, probably not today on the field in this kind of soupy weather, but they're probably in the cages getting their work in and throwing pins and doing those things as they get back in town. And yeah, it's that place about to be bussing.
That's right.
Bustling, not bussing. That's different. I learned the difference.
You know it. Yeah, you got it now.
This is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
I gotta say, it feels like a Friday around here at the Rema compound, and it is not bustling, especially with the NCAA tournament going on. Hello, welcome into Tech Talk. You've got us on Double T 97.3 and Double T973.com. Happy Friday to you. We've made it to the weekend. Hopefully you got a good one planned. And a good Friday, rest of your Friday, Saturday, Sunday combo in store for you. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Kyla Brown behind the glass taking care of us. We are live from the First United Bank studio. You can call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline 806-771-0973, or you can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions. If you want to let us know how your bracket's doing. Any chances any of our listeners are still perfect? I'm going to say no. Take us anywhere with the mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. We're also streaming live on Fox 34 News now and on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Gus, how goes it?
Oh, it's going all right.
Yeah?
Just dragging my hindy hind around today.
That's not good for a Friday.
No.
Yeah. So, obviously, we'll just jump right into it because you see year one for Grant McCaslin and company officially come to an end in the opening round of the NCAA tournament last night, losing to NC State. You haven't had a full 24 hours, to really digest it, but, for our purposes, you're as close as we'll get to being able to talk about it in that sort of time frame. Have you gone into reflective mode yet? Is it anger mode? Is it just disappointment mode? Or was it immediately just kind of like, hey, that was year one? And
yep, that was me.
That was a pretty good year.
Especially because it wasn't we weren't screwed by a crazy call or, some bonkers last second shot or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't, when you got down to the last media timeout, if you weren't kind of setting yourself emotionally for that, you're probably in dreamland, even though I was still thinking, okay, if we do this and hit a three, and then do the,
If we just hit 6 threes in a row and they miss every shot and shoot it with 2 seconds on the shot clock.
I mean, I texted a couple buddies of mine. We sort of had a little running text going during the game, and I think I summed it up with this is perfect kind of text lingo here. You don't get too verbose. Yeah. Coached and played around a lack of size all year, but not tonight, getting bullied inside.
Yeah.
Like as I look back on it the next day, and that was near the end. That wasn't at the end, but I'm like, yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, because, I've heard a million theories, and that, obviously 4 for 22 at one point from 3 and all those things.
Yeah.
All of those have merit, but I'll take to the bank the fact that we couldn't match their size. Period. That to me, that's where the conversation starts. Because we couldn't stop them, and you can talk about all your 3-pointers and all that stuff. It was going to take a raging hot 3-point day to beat that team yesterday, given how much they pushed us around. And I'm not just talking about the defensive tackle. I'm talking about whatever the other kid's name is.
Middlebrooks, the Clemson transfer, and then Diarra behind him had a pretty good game too.
Middlebrooks averages 5 points a game, and he had his career high. I mean, they just ran through us like crap through a goose. And so you think about, just there was no answer for all that, and how, who was diminished by injury. there could very well be that. Warren, the price of Warren Washington sitting for a month was, a very short, a pretty short lease last night. I mean, just, there was a lot that went into that. And so it was hard for me to leave that, going, man, we got out coached or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just take it down a notch, man. Best player probably rolled his ankle the other day, and that could have been a factor. A lot of little things, but again, with us being as thin and short as we are, it's it's a hard thing to.
Thin and short, something I've never been called.
Yeah, I mean, just thin and short roster.
Yeah,
really 6-7 players, whatever. Just not, And my biggest concern, my biggest excitement for Warren Washington coming back, and I think we said it in here yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, whatever. If he plays, what I'm most excited about is post defense. That was it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even anticipating the dump truck, that guy. I was just thinking, like, we're gonna have to match size somewhere along the way, and we couldn't do it. And I would, I'd give every one of those dudes a hug right now and tell them how much of a blast I had watching them play. Mm-hmm. Chance McMillan's already saying in the post-game media he's coming back, so there's one check mark.
Yeah, there's one. Word is, I think Pop has said that he's planning on being here. I like that. It seems like you're going to, as of now, early signs. Hopefully bring back this core, because you've got a great core that you're trying to build around.
Absolutely.
And right now you have to tip your cap to the services of Joe Toussaint and Warren Washington, who in 1 year, with it being being Grant McCaslin's first year, like completely made an impact in a season. And they're not the first player to do that, but as you're trying to turn things around. Which is funny because 2 years ago you were in the Sweet 16, but from as bad as last year was and as horrible of a taste, and you want to see how quickly you can burn down a program, that's what you were in danger of coming into this year.
100%. That's very well said.
You were in danger of that from the minute that the hiring process started. It feels like you've nailed it. I know it's just year one, but I feel like you've got a right guy for the area. I love how McCaslin completely flipped what he did with the North Texas team the year before. It's just so funny to think about, like, oh man, this is going to be a rock fight of a team. We're watching this North Texas group that he's got. We're going to be in for like 50-point games, and completely just did a 180, right? And did the right things with this roster for the most part of what he had inventory-wise. I know it doesn't work out in the tournament, but it gets you there to the tournament. I like that he went and found experienced guys with the younger guys that stayed and that he kept that had been to the tournament before and knew how to get there to give you a taste of success in the first season, right? Yep. And now you have expectations going into next year, though, and that's a great thing to have, because I honestly at the start of the year didn't know if you'd be at this point where you go, okay, what would your expectations be for next year? And right now, as it stands, it's, hey, at its baseline, make the tournament again, right? We know you can do it.
Absolutely.
Finish top half the Big 12. You just did that, and especially if you do keep most of the core, if not all of the core, that is available to return to you. So overall, successful year. We'll dive more into the game later on. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Word up. It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3, DoubleT973.com. Thanks for joining us. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Kyler Brown behind the glass taking care of us. We are live from the First United Bank studio. You can call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973, or you can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions, all of that welcome there. You can take us anywhere with the mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. We're also streaming live on Fox 34 News now and on YouTube. And if you're on the old Facebook or Twitter, or I'm also told Instagram, apparently, You can follow Double T 97.3 and see everything we do whenever we're not behind the mics, which is mostly just throw stuff into trash cans, or at least attempt it. A lot of that. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line from T-Bone. I think this first sentence is supposed to end with bad, so I'm just going to insert it here because it seems right. This baseball team is really bad.
Yep.
I drink enough without the team playing like they are. What's off right now? I mean, because you can pick deficiencies in kind of all facets of the game right now.
Sure.
Unfortunately, you've had some fielding errors. That was something that certainly didn't help last night. Situationally, the hitting hasn't just been, hasn't taken off against better competition. Pitching isn't perfect. I would say inconsistent is probably a better word for a lot of guys. What do you think right now is needing to be fixed the most right now?
No, I've told you guys, I think from the jump, that my concern was at the top end of the pitching staff, which is not to immediately point to that I think Kyle Robinson's no, I don't. In fact, Kyle doing what he did last week was no surprise to me, which was 7 shutout, 2-hit innings. I don't expect that every weekend, but he's very capable of that. He'll be drafted this summer, etc. But just as you kind of push up into the top of the staff, is it going to be good enough to match the top of the Big 12? I've told you from the beginning that's been a worry of mine. I'm not sitting here standing on my, standing over here on the fence acting like I called that. I'm just saying it's been a concern of mine. And I don't know that it's a.
I mean, you're not pulling like a Long Beach State athletic director. I don't want to pat myself on the back.
No, absolutely not.
That guy's a tool,
because
by the
what
way.
I want to do is be 100%, toward whatever is best for that team. I want them to go undefeated. But and I've also told you guys, like, hey, Davis Martin. Well, Davis Martin's father's name's Steve. Yeah, how about that?
Does he ever get mistaken?
He's a Lubbock guy. Well, he's a Lubbock guy. So
does he play a banjo?
People who
Does
listen.
he sing about King Tut?
No. He's people who listen to old Steve.
Does he have 12 kids and married to Bonnie Hunt in that one movie?
Not wrong Steve. But Davis, there's no Davis Martin. There's no Gingery. There's no Killian walking through that door. No Beater. Probably no Bonin. Those high-end dudes that we've had around here, and all of whom have either pitched in the big leagues or have been taken near the top of the draft or are knocking at the door of the big leagues. There's nobody there. The closest is Kyle. And so all of that to say, you frame everything with that and go, okay, can we hit enough around that? Can we generate enough offense around it? It's sort of mindful of the discussion we just had about the basketball game last night, where you go, boy, when you look at that game and replay it and go, hey, we're going to have a really tough time stopping their size. And so then what do we turn to? Okay, we need to shoot the lights out. And then when in reality is, and you do, you need to find a way, whatever that is. And in the end, we weren't close. Well, this group, like, if you just grab the Big 12 only stats, which is 7 games, it's a little early to start drawing monster conclusions, but you also haven't played the top of the league, at least not at this point, and
which is kind of extra concerning right now.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and you got a bunch of dudes that are, just the team batting average is down in the 230s. Just it's a mediocre offense. And again, I'm not suggesting that it's going to be that. In fact, if you told me at the end of the year, if you took today's numbers and said, here's our numbers through 7 Big 12 games, will we be higher than this or lower than this at the end of the season? I'm going to take higher probably across the board and all the meaningful rate stats. All of your percentages that you like to say.
I said it one time. I did an entire baseball broadcast, and I said average every time.
With pitching like this, especially when you got a freshman out there, walks the leadoff man. This is not a guy who's like a chronic walk everybody guy. He was one walk through 16 plus innings. You got to take care of the baseball behind him. Walks the leadoff guy, gets a 2-hop just chopper. I mean, when you hit infield, you hit it to make your infielders look good, feeling good about themselves. You hit it toward the bag at second base so he catches it, underhand toss, and that thing was belly high, chest high, 2 hops. It's a flip, it's play catch, double play, clean up the inning, all that stuff. And Pompey dumps it. 7th error of the year. It's a big number. It's a big number on a nice turf surface, and it's a big number for a guy that's been moved from short to second. This defense hasn't played well, and so then you put that on top of there's no pitchers over there stacking up 12 strikeouts, all right, or stacking up a really high strikeout rate. You talk about all of that, and then you look over there and you look down that so you're not really pitching well, you know. You kind of are what you are there. Defensively, you know, not good, and that's got to get cleaned up. And then you go over to the offensive side and go, okay, well, Gavin Cash has 12 home runs, right? No, he doesn't. You know, it just and I'm not blaming Gavin. I'm just saying, like, the whole group, there's nothing going on with it. And so all of a sudden you know, and people will ask me, like, are there any leaders or, you know, that kind of stuff. And those are the kind of questions that people ask about any team when they're struggling. But it looks like it's no energy and nobody cares. No. When you're not getting base runners and you're not creating anything, you know, everything looks low energy just because you go up there, you get a 2-out single, you get a 1-out walk, you get a 2-out double, and you're not piecing things together. And that's not just a Texas Tech 2024 thing. It was that way, you know, if you go watch a high school game. If a guy throws a 3-hitter and doesn't let you get base runners, it's going to look low energy because that's what it is. And that's where they are now. But the whole examination of the team needs to get better right now. I mean, and I'm not ripping those kids. I've played on teams that went through stretches like this, but they've got to, you know, everybody's got to clean up their own individual performance.
Sounds like they need a great collegiate hitter.
Yes.
That would solve everything,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Actually, there's plenty of great collegiate hitters on the team. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and DoubleT97.3.com, a Friday edition. Appreciate you joining us and making us part of your afternoon. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Kyler Brown behind the glass taking care of us, and Kyler Brown with a play of the day.
We talked about Foley's courage. The champion has plenty himself. There's no question about that. That's Foley down from that right hand. I don't know if he's going to make this one. 6, 7, 8. He's not. No, he gamely tried to get up. And Muhammad Ali has retained his heavyweight championship of the world after about 1 minute and 55 seconds of the 7th round. Foley tried gamely. He gave the champion the best battle of the champion's career. That is, since he has been champion. And here's Johnny Addy with the announcement.
Muhammad Ali knocks out Foley in the 7th round to retain his title.
I like it, dude.
All right.
Is that on this day?
It sure is. And I have one more for you.
Ooh, all right, double up.
Since it is Bob Costas' birthday.
Oh, yeah.
In right field, Tarasco going back to the track, to the wall. And what happens here? He contends that a fan reaches up and touches it. But Richie Garcia says no, it's a home run.
Jeffrey Mayer home run.
A pop into shallow left. The New York Yankees, world champions, team of the decade, most successful franchise of the century. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. Timeout, Utah. 5.2 seconds left. Michael Jordan running on fumes with 45 points. Who knows what will unfold in the next several months? But that may have been the last shot Michael Jordan will ever take in the NBA.
You name the sport, And Bob Costas will call it.
Absolutely right.
A+ effort.
He
Kyler.
tells.
Well done.
He tells. Yeah, well done. He tells the story. He's as accomplished as anyone at the broadcast game. Probably he and Joe Buck, and although Buck hadn't done the hoops, I don't think, but Costas tells a story about, I think, calling minor league hockey maybe when he was a student or just out of Syracuse, and if there was something about it, like they didn't get him a roster or he couldn't see the numbers from up there, whatever it was. He tells the story about this guy, if the best player's name was, Ben Porman, he was like, Ben Porman had the greatest day of his life that day because he was their only player that I knew who he was or whatever. And every shot that was taken, whoever the guy was, it was a Russian name or something. But he was like, no matter what happened, Joe, my goodness, Joe Blow with another great shot. But it was his early foray into hockey, which has to be a tough sport to call, by the way.
Boris Krasinski, best player he's ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable night that night. Do you two guys at all interested in July 20th fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul? I am so intrigued by this.
I think it's a lose-lose for Jake.
Oh, I do too.
If you beat Mike, everybody's just going to tell you, oh, you beat 55, 57-year-old Mike Tyson. But if he knocks you out, you just got knocked out by 57-year-old Mike Tyson.
I think this is the most interested I've been in
a fight.
Like the first one or of Jake Paul, specifically Jake Paul, because the first one that I was kind of interested in just because I thought it was funny and it's more of like the circus aspect was the Nate Robinson one, where he got turned into a meme, and now if you ever fall flat on your face, you just kind of think of him. And it's not because I was like, oh, I love boxing so much, and I can tell, like, you know what, Jake Paul looks like a real boxer to me, or this former basketball player who won a dunk contest with the short aspect, like, oh, you know what, he actually has some real fighting capability. It was the circus aspect of it. But this one, like, it seems like he has stayed in like Tyson has stayed in incredible shape.
Yep.
And I don't know, Kyler, I think I might disagree with you just a little bit. I don't know if it's a lose-lose for Jake Paul, because I think it's more of if he gets knocked out or he gets the snot beat out of him or something, you're going to be like, holy crap, Tyson is still a terrifying person.
That's what I would
do. Maybe you shouldn't have messed with Tyson.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But
have y'all seen any of the training videos?
Yes.
I'm just seeing recently? I saw a quick montage. Oh man,
I know, dude.
The guy that's like, even though he's wearing the protective gear and he's wearing the rib stuff, I wouldn't want to do it. I don't know what my number is, but it was like, you're gonna break my ribs through padding.
I'm telling y'all, he may not. It probably wasn't a peak. Him going through the mid to late 80s. Just destroying people, fight after fight. And that's why I can't even convey to you guys how when Buster Douglas beat him over in Tokyo or whatever it was in 1990, it was just like, what? That guy? Because Buster Douglas was a dude like, no, who's heard of that guy? Yeah. Just the next dude up to get mauled. And he, knocks Tyson out. And, around in there, Tyson had all the, he had all his legal stuff and did a little stint in jail and all that. I mean, it was kind of checkered, but him throwing punches in that ring was mercy. He just because it's all the training stuff you're seeing now, Kyler. I mean, but it's him at 24. You know what I mean? It's him at 26, like peak condition, just melting people. And I don't know what to make of this thing, but I 100% am intrigued, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Like I just think that by the time we get to mid-July, we're all going to be sitting around going, I am here for this. I'm going to be up at B-Dubs, with a cool one in my hand going, I got to check this out, or wherever it is. I have to get some eyes on this thing.
Which is funny because like I'm the same way with this fight. Like I'm thrilled that this is happening. I do hope Tyson rips his head off. Nothing against Jake Paul, but like it's funny because, you know, the sport of boxing, I don't know where it ranks like popularity wise to the common sports fan, but it seems like, you know, even from 30 years ago, or like take Tyson in his prime, that for whatever reason that has just taken, you know, fallen down the ladder of the professional sporting world.
Oh yeah,
in importance and like it's funny because this is a great example because I'm excited for that. But then like some great fighters of like our time, like I just can't really find. And I'm not a boxing fan, so maybe this is unfair for me to say, but like I just can't find a whole heap of excitement for like a Tyson Fury fight or a Canelo Alvarez type fight, like those types of guys that are kind of the top names of boxing right now. But you give me Jake Paul, who I still call a YouTube boxer, even though he's shown some stuff to his credit,
he has.
And has worked at it. And then a guy who was at his peak however many years ago, I'm all over it. I'm
telling you,
yes,
dude. I'm telling you.
I'm down.
I'm fascinated by this thing. And it could be over in 40 seconds, like all the fights of Mike Tyson's we saw in 1988, or what? I don't know.
You would think that. Here's my fight. Here's my fight guess. If it's longer of a fight, the later rounds, it's going to go to Jake Paul. It would be in his best interest, I would guess, to just
come out firing.
Yeah.
You would think you'd think Tyson comes up firing too to finish it.
More tech talk next. Gus and I are out. Chuck and Jeff up next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I think we all feel that way a little bit from time to time, don't we? Hey, good afternoon. It is the morning drive edition of Tech Talk with Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Kyler Brown remains. And Mike Gustafson is off to baseball with Texas Tech. And Clint Scott is off to baseball with Friendship Tigers. And we are here. And we are glad to be here in the First United Bank studio and look forward to visiting with you today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line or the Visual Edge IT hotline. I feel like that what we need to demand from management moving forward, Mr. McGuire, is a bullpen car to drive us in from wherever we are when we come in. You know, remember back in the day, the bullpen car.
No, I know the bullpen car.
You could have the helmet, or you could have the
baseball, or whatever they determined it to be,
or the car. I mean, there were some teams that had an official car of the team, and they would, fire that thing up and pull it out of the bullpen and take it out to the mound. Especially when teams had artificial turf. At least it was that way in Kansas City. They would pull out. I think Dotson was at one point in time.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
Dotson was
without a hesitation. Dotson would have been. There's only one problem with that, though, Chuck. Where does the bullpen car drive from and to?
Yeah,
it drives from the bullpen to the mound, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if we were to call this the mound, where's our bullpen?
Yeah,
literally on the other side of that wall.
Yeah,
the car would take up more room than the distance it would travel.
It was really just kind of.
I'm a fan of the idea.
Wasn't trying to be totally realistic here.
Now, if we wanted to put in moving sidewalks through all the hallways here, that is something that I think could get some benefit because that would help everybody out.
Yeah.
But just a bullpen car, again, would take up more room than it would use.
Yeah. So, at any rate, if you remember those from back in the day, I always enjoyed those. But now with as many natural grass surfaces as you have, it's really impossible to do because the natural grass just can't sustain the weight of the car, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's another thing that they've taken away from us.
Sure.
It's another thing that they've taken away from us. All right. The NCAA basketball tournament does continue on. Just to kind of get you up to date on the latest scores of the scores that have happened this afternoon. San Diego State has defeated UAB, so the Blazers are out. San Diego State goes on. Their coach may go on too, although I don't know that he'll get the Michigan job, but he was the guy that helped Michigan win its only national championship in college basketball, and that was 1989 with Steve Fisher. And so that's a possibility, but maybe they'll go younger. So Marquette, a winner today over Western Kentucky. Marquette, a 2 seed, beat Western Kentucky, the 15 seed in the South, 87-69. Clemson, a winner today over New Mexico, 77-56. And UConn, the defending national champion in the East, defeating Stetson, 91-52. In my mind, this is a Red China Russia game with Nebraska and Texas A&M getting ready to start in the South region. That'll be at 5:50. A&M is the 9 seed. Nebraska is the 8 seed. And then later on this evening, among the games, Duke, the 4 seed, taking on Vermont. So that's among the things that are taking place. Going on right now at the half, Auburn leads Yale 41-34. And Colorado, future Big 12 member, a 10 seed, tied up with the 7 seed Florida at 45. You looking forward to Colorado being in the Big 12 again?
Yeah, sure. Like, I don't have fond memories of playing Colorado in really any sport. They don't play baseball, so that doesn't help. They had lots of wins against better teams that you sent up there that you should have won games. Basketball, they were a better basketball school at the time than you were when they were here. I don't know.
Not much better, but
a little. So it wasn't like going to Kansas, but it wasn't always a fun trip. So there's parts of me that look at that and go, great, just what we were looking for. And the other part of me says, hey, maybe we can get some payback now, because I think all of their programs have taken a step back since they were here, at least a little. But I'm not like hanging from the rafters, excited to go
to Boulder.
I would love to go visit, go to see the Rockies and everything else. That's an awesome view. But as for a season-by-season basis, that was a den of horrors for a while.
Yeah, no, I was at that 2006 game, and it was dreadful.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it gets into that situation, and you're able to go up there and just own the city, like you've owned some others in the Big 12 from time to time. But, yeah, not like rah-rah-ree that they're back.
Kick them in the knee.
No, that I would like to do, but just not doing the cheering part. Let's just kick him in the knee.
Baylor also a winner today. I have Baylor going to the Final Four, so we'll see. They were big winners over Colgate, the 14 seed, 92-67. Also among the games tonight will be TCU against Utah State. Does TCU survive tonight?
Man, the way this tournament has gone, I'm going to say no, only because of everything else going on. Teams that I thought would fall didn't, and teams that did that I didn't think would have. Like, I don't have again, didn't fill out a bracket, but I would not be in the percentile that has a bunch right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that you would join a lot of people. Also, the number 1 overall seed, Houston, is in action tonight. Do you think they win the national championship?
They're still my pick, yeah.
Okay. They're still your pick. All right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight. Somebody says this: would you want the San Diego chicken with you, Chuck?
I mean, why wouldn't we want the San Diego chicken?
Who doesn't like the chicken, right?
Like, I'm not even a Padres fan, and I would love the San Diego chicken to show up and hang out for a while. Yeah. They're very quiet on the radio. It's not a great radio interview. It's much more of a TV thing. But at a ball game, absolutely. Sign me up for some San Diego chicken.
You're really good at history. I'm gonna not ask you this question.
I dabble.
I'm gonna ask Kyler this. Kyler, did you know that the San Diego chicken's origination, true or false, the San Diego chicken's origination was as a mascot for a radio station?
50-50. I'm going to go true.
It is true. He was initially known as, the San Diego chicken was known as the KGB chicken. And you knew that too. Didn't you know that?
I didn't know he was what the station call letters were, but I knew he originated from a radio station.
From a radio station. Then he became the San Diego chicken, and then because of copywriting and things like that, he became known as the famous chicken. The San Diego chicken, famous chicken, KGB chicken, made an appearance in Lubbock at least once at a Crickets game.
Well, there you go.
So there you go.
Speaking of crickets, look at the shirt he's wearing in there. Show him again. He didn't see it.
Oh, it's a cricket shirt.
And that's like the actual Lubbock cricket shirt. There's a little impressiveness there.
4:40 this morning here on, or this afternoon, I should say, on Tech Talk here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk this afternoon here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jeff McGuire and Kyler Brown. I'm Chuck Heinz. It's great to have you with us as we wind up the work week. We'll have Friendship Baseball on the air for you tonight on Sunny 97.7. That'll be at 6 o'clock. They'll face Midland Legacy again. This time it'll be in Wolfforth. And last night, Friendship was a winner, so they'll look to take the series tonight. We'll have Lubbock Cooper baseball tonight at 7. They'll take on Abilene Cooper. That'll be on 100.7 the score. And then here on Double T 97.3, it's game 2 of a 3-game set with BYU. 6 o'clock for the warm-up show. Jamie Lent and Choice Woodman have balls and strikes at 6:30. What's your concern level for the Texas Tech baseball team?
It's not what our chat line has. At least this morning. I haven't seen anything about it this afternoon, so that may start now that we have brought it up. There's a level of questioning, but it's also there's a level of frustration because I, like the guy that sits with you normally, appreciate small ball. And small ball doesn't play well in your stadium normally because the wind's normally blowing out. And you've got a very hitter-friendly ballpark. That's the type of player that you recruit for your team. It's like the A's back in the day wanted pitching for the Major League Baseball A's we're talking about here because they had so much foul territory that you could get a lot of free outs there as opposed to a place like the ballpark in Arlington that didn't have as much foul territory. It was known as a hitter's park. That's one of those things that it kind of goes with. But your inability to score unless you're hitting home runs is concerning. Your inability to string multiple hits together so that you can manufacture some runs, even just that way, even if it was just doubles, which you would figure a power team would be able to do. The lack of seeing that on yet another game like we saw last night is concerning. Now, BYU used a lot of their best pitchers last night, so you were facing some of their best guys, and coincidentally, you didn't get to use your better guys because you were trailing. You don't want to burn your best arms in a game where they're going to lose. But you saw it. Really, just the one series against Texas is where the bats really were alive, and even there you lost 2 out of 3. So the offense is questioning. Now, a lot of the problem that people were talking about was the pitching, and I don't have as much concern over the pitching. The 8 runs that you gave up last night, kind of judge it a little bit on the who you were using and how it went. And guys are going to have a bad day from time to time, but we're starting to run out of days that you can have a bad day for with Big 12 play in full swing.
But you got a lot of series left.
You do, but you've also burned a bunch of them too that you should have gotten a couple of wins in. Now, would we've all felt better if you won last night 1-0? Absolutely, we would have. That doesn't make our offense any better because you only scored 1 run in your ballpark that you should be able to do a lot of damage in. And I understand why Tadlock does the things he does in recruiting for the offense. I totally get it. I know why the statistics show that bunting a guy over is a waste of an out when you only get 27 of them in a game. I get all of that. But there are times that a ballpark doesn't play like a major league ballpark. It plays like Yosemite. And it doesn't matter if you've got Barry Bonds fully juiced up on steroids with a metal bat and a corked ball, that you're not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark that day. And those are the days that you lose 3-1. It's a little frustrating. That's the most frustrating thing for me is that you don't see a change in that aspect. But it's also what they believe in. And if you've got a problem with Tim Tadlock and doing what he's believed in that has gotten you to Omaha the only trips that you've ever had and made a regional all the years in a row that you've made a regional, that I feel like one of us is making an argument that he's already decided which side he's right on. And me telling him he's wrong isn't going to do any good because he's probably right because, he's the head baseball coach for a reason. but it is just frustrating that you can't manufacture a run when you're not hitting the ball out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, and last night, I mean, I realized the guy was throwing darts, but he only had one walk last night.
Well, and it's not like you walked 50 guys either. You had 3 walks and 3 walks, 2 hit by pitches, 5 total free bases. You just had them all at the same time.
Yeah, the critical thing last night was the error in the 4th inning when you failed to get the double play, execute the double play. And the problem is that you say that about that one play. I mean, there were lots of other plays in the ball game last night that could have affected things, that could have helped you out. So it's somewhat unfair to say that this was totally based on what happened in the 4th inning, but it was.
You had really one bad inning.
It was critical,
and it was the one that you couldn't overcome, and it was the one that it was early enough in the game that it set them up to do what they wanted to do with their pitching staff, and it forced you to make decisions that you don't like making that earlier in a game. That's why baseball's played in a series and not just one game, because those kind of things get amplified in a series. That if you've only got one good pitcher, like some of these high school teams, and I'm not pointing at any specific high school here, but there are high school teams out there that have an absolute ace that they'll throw in their one game, and he'll throw 7 innings of one-hit ball, and they'll win that game. And then they'll lose the next 2 games in a series because they don't have anybody behind him.
Well, you're throwing your ace tonight in Kyle Robinson, and so you hope that you can get a similar effort as to what you got last Friday night.
Oh, absolutely.
You get that
100%.
And then you just got to wake up the bats. How do we wake up the bats?
Fried chicken.
Yeah.
You do a sacrifice of one of those.
Or Solano when you need him, right?
Maybe run over to Greg Sands and see if you can borrow some club covers and put those on the bats for some hats for bats. Other than just more time in the cage and get the. I don't even know that's pressing so much, because it's not like you're having bad at bats. You're not throwing at bats away. Have there been some? Sure, that's the way baseball goes. But you're not having productive at bats consecutively, and that's been a problem.
Yeah. All right, so the Red Raiders will take on BYU in Game 2 of that series tonight. We'll have it for you at 6 o'clock. That's when the warm-up show starts. 6:30, balls and strikes from Danlaw Field at Rip Griffin Park. And we hope for happy totals tonight from
yes. We had enough sad totals yesterday.
Yes.
Happy totals.
Happy totals tonight from the ballpark there at Texas Tech, Danlaw Field at Rip Griffin Park. All right. It is just before 5 this evening here on Tech Talk on a Friday. You can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line if you have exciting weekend plans. I'm curious to hear them.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.